Next up is Katie Doyle-Bunker. And yes, Katie is a former, oh, my Long Island is coming out, my former foster mom, and an adoptive mom of two. She's also a family support specialist for the Hudson Valley team. Yay, team. Tonight, we'll hear how Katie uses the parenting tools she teaches to others to help herself become a better mom. So here's Katie with Pace Yourself.
Good evening. I wanted to start by thanking Pat and Sarah and the rest of the board of directors who afford me the opportunity to serve the families in the Hudson Valley. It is the greatest honor and privilege to be one of the first person that someone calls when everything is bad and they just need someone who will listen. So thank you. I am a child of the 70s. I grew up on a steady diet of reruns of Bewitched, and I Dream of Jeannie, The Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island, and of course, Little House on the Prairie. I grew up wanting to be just like my mom and my grandmother because they were the most amazing women I knew in real life. More than anything, I wanted to be the best mom in the world and have a double oven like Carol Brady. I met my husband on the first day of college in my freshman year. By December, we were talking about getting married and wanting to have a family. After college, we did get married. I was 25 and thought, this is it, we're ready. Unfortunately, I wasn't ready for the disappointment, the heartache, the loss, and the frustration that infertility would bring in the next 13 years of our lives. As we navigated through the many doctor's appointments, procedures, and pokings, I kept thinking, I'd get pregnant if I just made a list of the wonderful things I'm going to do for my children to make sure their childhood was filled with magic and joy and love. Or if I just tried a little harder, read another book about parenting, or surely if I perfected my recipe for chocolate chip cookies, it would happen for me. It did not. Finally, we reached our line in the sand, the point we knew that we could go no further. We walked out of that doctor's appointment in silence, fully aware that we had shut the door and thrown away the key. We took a break. A year to throw away the schedules and the calendars and the ovulation predictors. But the ache didn't stop. We knew we wanted to have a family. We also knew that we never wanted a child to feel like a consolation prize for our inability to birth a family. What we wanted for them was to know that when life presented us with a fork in the road, we wholeheartedly chose the path to become foster parents. So we went through the county process, the packet, the MAC classes, the letters from friends and families, and prepared for the arrival of a child. The first call came, and 20 months later, the second call came, and we gladly answered yes. Soon we were caring for 2 children under 3, working full-time and living happily for the most part, but we were exhausted. That's when we learned that each child was going to need a permanent home. And we were honored to be that place for them. That's when our home team was formed. It was around this time I joined AFFCNY as a family support specialist. And a few short months later, I found myself sitting in a classroom in Brooklyn, learning about reframing parenting. Very briefly, reframing parenting teaches ways to nurture connections with children, built around PACE, which stands for playful, acceptance, curiosity, and empathy. A very special thanks to Pat and Sarah for that training. I'll never forget the experience of that training. The introduction to reframing has become the steady background hum of my life. As a family support specialist, I get to facilitate reframing sessions several times a year, and I get to collaborate with the Pace Yourself presentation, which is every other week. But more than anything, returning to this material again and again and again helps me to inch closer to being the parent I truly want to be. By talking about reframing so often, it has become second nature, as natural as where I put my keys when I walk in the front door. On days when I can't tell if the cyclone of emotions is teen years, hormones, or trauma, I remind myself that choosing connection over control of the situation is the foundation of our family. I do do-overs. I say I'm sorry. And I ask myself if this is really the hill I want to die on. No matter what, if a child has just spent an hour arguing with me and still asks for a hug, they get one. Our relationship always comes first, and we'll figure out the rest later. Reframing has grown with us. From playful games like Spider-Man Says, which is a lot like Simon Says, but way cooler, to the made-up conversations I used to open the door to hard topics. It reminds me to practice mind mindfulness, like inviting a child to ride with me to the grocery store, knowing that the confessional quiet of the car can sometimes open spaces for bigger conversations. I've learned that much of reframing isn't about the heat of the moment, but how I think of our relationship when things are calm. It's letting my kids know that my husband and I are their biggest fans, and no subject is off limits, and that I don't need to RSVP to every argument I'm invited to. Sometimes waiting a day before addressing the consequence is the best choice. I am deeply grateful to AFFCNY, not just for the chance to support other families, but for teaching me that being a good mom is less about perfection and more about building strong relationships day by day. And as I like to say when I'm facilitating, intersubjectivity, find out what it means to me. Intersubjectivity. A lot of apologies to Aretha Franklin. What does it mean? It means being able to influence our kids and be influenced by our kids. So who did I turn out as a mom? Some days I hope I'm a little like my grandmother, who opened her home with warmth and turned her pain into strength for others. I hope I'm a little like my mom. Oh, I hope I'm a little like my grandmother, who opened her home with warmth and turned her pain into strength for others. I hope I'm like my mom, a fierce advocate who gives love and compassion in quiet ways and always notices people so they feel seen. I hope I'm like my sister who practices radical acceptance and reminds me to let go a little bit more as my kids grow. It's a little hard. I hope I carry pieces of the friends and loved ones who have shaped me along the way. But my favorite part of being a mom will always be the mornings when everyone dog piles into my bed, snugly, safe, full of love and giggles, watching the Addams Family. I never did get the double ovens, but I got a lot more than I ever hoped for.